I can.
Alright, I'm gonna disable the computer analysis because we are men and we have to think, right? So, in this position, we're gonna start from the beginning, right? E4, C6. I am not particularly a player of Caro-Kann or stuff. I just know some ideas. Nonetheless, I thought it was interesting, so let's see what happens here. D4, D5, E5, Bishop F5, 92. Alright, I think I have seen this 92 before. The idea is always to try to play F4 and I believe something like F5 in the future. Nonetheless, I'm not so sure about it because at the same time you're kind of violating one of the rules of the opening, which is moving the same piece twice, right? So moving the same piece twice, I don't know, it's something that I don't like that much. So you have to consider all of these things as well. Like in the opening, even if you do not know the theory of this thing, do not play 92 and move the knight twice. Because, come on, it's just violating the rule, right? So, maybe a little bit better would have been simply to play something different. I don't know, maybe just knight f3 seems like the logical move. Maybe just even moves like c3 seem logical as well. Or just simply bishop e2. Probably not bishop d3 because then you would be exchanging this bishop for this other one. It's not necessarily, probably not the best way to proceed. But I don't know that much about Caro-Kann. So here I'm just throwing some general plans that I just have heard before. So knight e2, h6 because I want to keep this bishop, knight g3, bishop h7. The advantage that you have here is that even though you're moving the same piece twice, I have to move the same bishop twice. So not the end of the world, right? Bishop e2, I like the move, just simply bringing more pieces out. e6, knight e2, knight e7 seems to make sense. Knight b3. So knight b3 is a move that I don't quite like. Because, I mean, if you move your knight to b3, even though it seems like you're protecting c5, I don't see what's the future of this knight. Like, what are you gonna do with that in the future? Maybe 10 moves ahead. Like, where are you gonna go with this knight? It doesn't seem like it has an objective here. Kind of like all his squares are blockaded, or it won't have any in the future. So, if anything, I just think that a move like castle here would have been okay, without moving the same piece twice one more time to b3. If anything, this knight, I believe that probably should go to f3 after you play something like f4 maybe, and try to generate pressure on the king side, which is the place where I believe the white pieces have to try to attack in this position, and try to resist on the queen side. Nonetheless, I think in general terms, knight d2 makes sense. Knight d7, knight b3, c5, because I need to generate some counterplay, right? I cannot just keep you with these 2 pawns which are really strong here, and I need to do something soon. So c3 makes sense. Rook c8, just because I'm bringing the rook towards the center, generating some threats here. Maybe if you take some ideas would be something like this. It came to my mind, and I thought that was interesting enough as to play something like rook c8. I was thinking also of moves like a5 to provoke you to play something like a4, and then once you do that, pawn takes, and there might be tricks with bishop takes b3. So I was thinking something like that, but nonetheless, I couldn't concrete something in that fashion. Bishop b3, c4, because now I thought that, well, maybe it is time for me to close this position here, even though it seems a little bit silly because my rook is apparently doing nothing now. I needed to do something, otherwise I was thinking that taking here was something that I didn't quite see flying in the future, because bishop b5 could come or something like that, and these 2 squares here could be really dangerous. So I thought, no, let's go for the safe thing, and I just pushed c4, right? Knight e7, castle. So here in this position, now I believe that it is time for you to generate a plan, which is something solid, you know, which is not just ideas or throwing some moves. Now it is time for you to realize what you want to do and how are you gonna get there. So what do you think is your plan here? Because I noticed that you were a little bit like anxious is the word that I'm looking for. Maybe you were throwing too many moves, but you didn't stick with one, you know? You were constantly looking for a lot of moves, but nonetheless you didn't go deeper into any. That's one of the problems that we have here. I can see that you're pretty creative. I haven't seen a player so creative in this range for a while, and I like that. Like, for example, the ideas that you had with moving your bishop to c1, to go to a3, to generate threats, to maybe take advantage of this diagonal, because this bishop is not so good. I like that idea. Nonetheless, something that I am seeing here is that probably you're being kind of too all over the place and not focusing on something. So that's one of the problems that I can see. And also you're seeing too many moves for you and way less for me. Like too many moves for you, too many options for you. But how is the other guy gonna reply to those moves? That's another question that we have to be constantly asking, right? So in this position, knight f5, what's your plan here? Like, what's your idea in this position?
Here, well, now I can't really play f4 or f5 anymore because that's really the big idea here. The idea with bishop c1 to a3 is okay, but I don't really want to make a play on the queen side, just because all of my pieces are pointing over there. So, an idea to think about. So my two ideas here were putting pressure on the f-pawn and pushing e6. Because I liked pushing e6 because it would create a weak e6 pawn for you if you were to take it, and it also creates pressure on your king. So an idea here might be rook to e1, so if I play rook to e1 with the idea of supporting e6, you can try to just kind of ignore it. You can't really defend e6 with your bishop right now, but you might want to play... Well, after e6 is sacrificing a pawn for me, so you might just want to sacrifice back by pushing f4, because e6, f4, and then bishop f5 would make your pawn pretty solid again.
Alright.
However...
But the problem with e6 is that... Alright, let's imagine that you get to play e6. I take here. How do you win this?
Well, my idea is rook e1 first, to then support e6.
Yeah. Also, something I'm seeing here is that another problem with e6, for example, I think e6 has a decent idea, like a decent essence, if you will, but nonetheless, at the end of the day, it does not accomplish anything. Like, even though you can push e6, and even if the rook is only one and you're trying to push it, I don't see it clear. Like, I don't quite know how to proceed with that e6. So probably e6 is not the way to proceed, so we should try to discard it. Also, something that I was noticing is that one of my plans could be bishop e7, knight f8, and knight e6, you know? So if I do that, then suddenly this pawn is located, I'm pushing f4, I'm pushing g5, and then suddenly my pieces seem to be really active, you know? So looking at those facts, I was trying to figure out how to proceed here. And probably something that I was trying to figure out was how to get rid of the center, because I thought that was too annoying. I think I like the idea with b3, but I don't like that you do not see b3 until you have lost the pawn on h4, which you were losing here, by the way. Which I was...
Yeah, you could just play queen takes.
Yeah, because I was thinking, well, maybe knight f3 is winning a tempo at least, but after I played bishop b7, I thought that the pawn was simply falling. I wanted to give you also an opportunity to see that the pawn on h4 was falling, so I played bishop b7 as a remark, like, come on, do something about this guy. And suddenly, I'm just taking the pawn, right? Also, taking with a queen could have worked. I simply go backwards and nobody dies. But nonetheless, something that you have to see. And also, this h4 is not convincing, even if I cannot take it. Because what's the idea behind this h4? It's probably just, alright, pushing, winning some space, and stopping g5, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know, I guess the most natural way to play here would have been simply to play f4. And that looks horrible in terms of strategy, right? Because this bishop is horrible. It's worse than a pawn. But nonetheless, something that we have to see is that this bishop is not great either. So I guess there might be some compensation in that sense. And also you could bring your pieces in this fashion. So I was thinking that maybe a move like f4, right? Might not be the best move, but it was an idea that I was thinking. And it was not just as bad as h4, because h4 is just losing a pawn immediately. So I was thinking about that move. Another move that, I don't know, might work would be something like b3 right now. Yeah, I mean, because you have to do something about these guys, and my king is still on the center. So if you can figure out a way to get some lines open on my king, then you could try to generate some counterplay, and then you could try to generate an attack on my king. Remember that there is a principle which says that whenever you're being attacked on one of the flanks, what do?
Attack in the center. Exactly.
So this might look like attacking on one of the flanks, you know, like this b3 here, but my plan might be something like g5. If you play b3, it seems like you're attacking in one of the sides, but actually what you're doing here is that you are basically attacking on the center, because these two central pawns here have to react to that move. So I think that b3 is one of those moves which makes sense, because to a certain extent you're just generating pressure on the center, and you're trying to alleviate or to generate a little bit less of opportunities for me to just simply control the board. So also, if you get to open a file here, might be nice for your rook eventually, for example, and then you could try to generate some counterplay here, maybe passing your queen through this diagonal. So those are some ideas that I was looking for. Nonetheless, see also that the pawn on b3 is taking here, and there are a lot of attackers on the pawn on c4, and if I get my queen to a4, I'm not only generating threats on a7, I'm generating threats on c4, which could be annoying, right? So maybe a way to proceed with b3 in this position, even if you do not want the move g5 to come, then you can play f4, for example, and then g5 does not make anything, because if I play g5, for example, and I take on f4 eventually, then you can simply take, and that's better for you, because my pawn structure is horrible. So maybe a move like f4 here in this position, followed by b3, could be an interesting idea. This might not be the best idea, I don't know, I'm not seeing what the computer says about this, but I believe that it's something playable, and I believe that it has certain logic behind it. I think that there is way more logic than just simply trying to push e6, because e6 does not seem like reacting in the center for me. It seems more like giving away another pawn, or just not figuring out what to do. I think that the reaction should be here, because to a certain extent this is basically a chain of pawns, right? Or yeah, so what you want to do is basically you want to attack it on the top, or you want to attack it on the bottom, so that you can try to generate some pressure there, and you try to get rid of them as soon as possible. I think that's really nice, because one of the things that the black pieces could be committing right now would be simply to overexpand, you know, without finishing the development. Like, for example, my king is on the center and my bishop is on f8, so that's something to see, right? So h4, dubious. G4, dubious as well. I don't think that the attack should be on the king side. I think that the attack should be on the queen side, because I mean, there are too many black pieces on the king side if you think about it, and too little, or too few on the queen side, and that's not gonna be enough for me to probably hold the center. So I was thinking that if b3 ever happened, I would play something like b5 and try to defend then, but even that doesn't seem so solid for me. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
We have to be terribly
Oh, sorry, I was just gonna say, like I was thinking I needed to attack on the king side, because like the general rule is you attack in the direction that your pawns are pointing, but in this position I've really already tried attacking on the king side, and your king side is very well defended, so in this case I think I should be looking in other directions with b3.
Exactly.
And
I get what you're saying here. Also, something interesting in this position is that I mean, the problem with chess is that there are too many paradoxes, you know. If chess didn't have any paradox, it would be really easy, but you have to try to apply the principle that makes the most sense at the position that you are at, and for you to do that you have to have certain considerations, not only in terms of the principle itself, but what's the circumstance of every single one of the pieces and how to work upon that. Like, for example, here, if you think about it, on the king side there are a lot of pieces of the black guy, and that's a lot of trouble if you think about it in terms of generating an attack. When we're thinking about the queen side, there are not so many, so that's kind of giving us a little clue about attacking on the queen side. Also, opening this center in this fashion seems way more likely than opening the center in this fashion, mainly because the central pawn is d5, right? Also, the other central pawn which is important is c4, but the pawn on f5, if anything, is just restricting the bishop on h7. So I also like the idea of playing simply f4 and going for it in that fashion. I can picture even in certain scenarios, and this might be unlikely, but it's just something that's coming to my mind, moves like bishop f2 and bishop h4 in the future, trying to get some diagonals, or just simply the way you said that maybe bishop c1, bishop a3. I think that makes perfect logical and strategic sense, so I like that move. The only problem that you have here would be that the pawn on c3 is weak, so if you are too concerned about that, you might even try to defend it with probably a rook in the future, something like that. Or once you play f4, then you do not have to to be concerned of moves like f5. Therefore, you do not have to be concerned about this bishop, and you can play queen c2. If you play queen c2 with the pawn on f4, of course, you can bring the other rook here. The king side is closed. Bring all your pieces towards the queen side and then try to generate an attack. So, also, I can picture that if you play f4, eventually this bishop can go to f3 and generate pressure on d5. And also h4 is on d7. So, even better than having a knight on f3 would be to have a bishop on f3, I believe. And if you get into one of those circumstances, then the position is going to be really nice for you. Also, you can picture that if you take here, see how many things can come out of this just particular position, right? Because it is rich in pieces and it's rich on strategic ideas. Maybe if f4, bishop f3, and then if you take here, then this pawn is out, and then you have this amazing center to work with. So, I kind of think that e takes was a little bit of a mistake. Nonetheless, I thought that was the most interesting move. Like, bishop takes was like, alright, the move that anybody could have played. And then I have to be careful with these kind of things, right? I was a little bit afraid of this as well. Nonetheless, I don't think it was the end of the world. I don't think it was immediately being killed. I think there was a lot of game to play here. But nonetheless, I thought that this was something scary, you know, like something that I would be a little bit afraid of. So, in this position, pawn takes, h4, not a good move. See how you're going out of the ideal scenario for you, which would be to try to generate an attack on the queen side, probably. Also, something that I would encourage you to do is to try to figure out a plan and try to stick with it for a while and try to see if it works. If it doesn't, then just go for the next one, but don't just jump from one to the next one without giving it a deep thought, because if you do that, then your chess is going to be always superficial. So better than seeing 11 plans is just to see 3, but try to incorporate ideas and try to see what's going on, right? All right, bishop e7. Yeah, we already have seen that h4 is probably not the best move. Also remember that, try to stick with the plans, try to incorporate all of the ideas that you had, try to incorporate these kind of moves with bishop c1, with b3, in one single idea, and try to see if you can make them all fit, you know?
Okay.
It would be an interesting way to proceed, right? So, knight f3, dubious, because where are you heading with this knight?
Yeah, I think honestly in that position, I just missed that both the queen and the bishop were attacking h4, and I just figured I needed to defend with knight f3. But I do prefer the knight on d2.
But let's imagine that this pawn is not hanging, right? Let's imagine that the pawn is defended. Let's imagine that the pawn is on g3 and it's defending the pawn on h4. Where are you heading with this knight? Like, what's your idea? Where are you going?
Yeah. It's not a very good knight on f3. Maybe I might be able to get it to f4 with knight to e1 to g2 to f4.
Wow, but that's so slow, right?
That's really long and slow. It's better just on d2.
Exactly.
Supporting d3.
And even if you get it to f4, then I'll have some ways to push it away. So, not the best way to proceed. So see how you're moving the knight to f3, but at the end of the day, there is not a clear idea behind it. You know, like you play knight f3, and then what? You know, so maybe even better. Of course, forgetting that the pawn is hanging, right? Because the priority here is to defend the pawn. Probably with g3, I don't know. You have to defend the pawn. You move it there, now defend it, right? Or just h5 or something like that, so that if I play g5, then you have pawn takes. I don't know. Just throwing an idea. But nonetheless, where are you going with this knight? Because this knight is actually a knight which is helping you to break on b3, which is one of the ideas that you should probably incorporate here in this game. So, knight f3, I was like, no, where are you heading with this knight? And I was like, no, don't do that. So, suddenly you do that, I go like, all right, well, if there is a pawn, there is a pawn, right? So, that's nice. b3, and now finally you start to realize that the attack on the king side is not going to fly, but it's too late, because you should have seen this here. Here you should have known that the attack probably is on the queen side, due to all the things that we have talked about, right? Because we talk about this a lot, right? Due to the fact that there are not so many pieces, or whatever, the control of the center, the king side is not so open, it's not so clear how to proceed there. Go for the queen side. But here, this knight on f3, dubious. Like, it's almost as if you do not have a knight. because where are you heading with it? It's sad. I mean, it's not the knight. And then this bishop is sad, and then everybody's sad, and then we all cry. So it's not good, right? So d takes c4, d takes c4. Finally, you are breaking the center, but it's too late. Now you're down materially. You know? Imagine the same position with the pawn on h2, the bishop on e7, and the knight on d2. Does that look better?
This is much better.
Yeah, also you have the option of bishop f3. And whoa, I'd be afraid of this bishop on f3, actually. And I would be afraid of this d5, e6 now, and everybody coming to kill me. So I would have to be really careful with that. Remember that here I was breaking a little bit of the principle by moving my central pawn towards one of the sides of the board, you know? So that's something that might be punished in the future. Remember that whenever somebody breaks a principle, there is a chance that he's going to get punched. And that's something that in this position might be the case for me. But nonetheless, you were breaking some rules yourself, so if we all break the rules, then we'll go to jail. And bishop c1, knight b6, bishop a3. I like the fact that now your bishop has this square, but at the same time, you're trading pieces, you're down materially. Nice for me as well. So, I guess that now you're just paying the consequences because you're down materially. Now the position is not so good for the white pieces. But I guess that bishop a3 is a nice idea. If you could just simply elaborate on these ideas and make them all fit together in a way that's not so anxious, because I can see a lot of anxiety in your thought process, you know, like you're jumping from one line to the other one, then you go like, oh my god, and what if this one? Oh, but what if this one? I like that, it's really cool. But there might be a little bit more focus, right? If you get to do that and to get to that point and to see things for what they are, analyzing and evaluating the position, dude, you are going to hit the 2100s like really soon. I am totally convinced of this. So, bishop e7, bishop takes, queen d2, g5, kind of a weird move, but I kind of like it. And then you play d6. And also I played g5 to provoke you, because you were saying that you were going to play e6. And I go like, no, do not play e6, that's 2 pawns down. Come on, do something else, but do not make it so easy. So, why e6 is not the correct way to go, or to proceed? Because the only hope that you have in this position is your central control. It's the only thing that gives you a little bit of, how to call it, compensation, right? The only thing that's giving you some compensation is basically these two guys. Do not give them away. Like, if these two guys are the only two guys that are left after the war, come on, keep them, right? So, e6, dubious. Queen takes, knight e5, f4, see how now this pawn by itself is not going to do a lot. Now you're 2 pawns down, I just need to trade pieces and then this is over, right? Rook a d1, makes sense, but something that you probably should have done before, and without my bishop capturing the rook, of course. And see how f4 was so important, because my counterplay was on the king side. You know, if you played f4 before, even though your bishop on e3 was horrendous, you still had the chance to bring it here, but you stopped all my plans and ideas and my counterplay on the king side, and you're forcing me to react on the queen side. So that's something that I really like. And in this position, see how one more time you're paying the consequences. Bishop takes, rook d8. Suddenly I'm taking the knight. I take the knight, and pieces are falling, right? So this is telling us that a little bit more of tactics would be nice. Because you saw this before, but then you forgot it. Sometimes we call this in Spanish a mental lake or something like that, when you kind of forget something that's on the board, or sometimes we call it also a ghost. And it's alright. I mean, it happens from time to time. Not to be too worried about, or to be something like to go crazy about it. But nonetheless, I believe that a little bit more of tactics would do to solve these kind of problems that you have. Yeah. And that's basically what I believe we can take out of this game, because after this, this was just over, right? Like, there's no way to survive. This is just lost. But nonetheless, what we can take out of this game, right? Which is the important thing that we have to be considering. First things first. Be constantly thinking about how to control the center. If you cannot control the center, then you should know how to break the center. If you cannot break the center, then you should know what to do to close the position, to do something about it. But if you're not working with the center, then that's not so nice. You should know where or how to stop the other guy from accomplishing his plans and his ideas. Probably the way to do that here in this position, f4, Try to keep him with bad pieces like this one. Even if this bishop on e3 is horrible, this bishop on h7 is not the best bishop ever. So I believe that's possible. Stop him from doing what he wants to do. Then try to generate counterplay. Try to attack. Try to go for him with moves like b3, for example, in this position. Could be really nice. Remember that whenever somebody's attacking on one of the flanks, where do we go? To the center, right? We try to kill him on the center. Maybe a move like b3 looks like something that's not coming to the center, but it's coming to the center. So it's not so nice. Also, in this position, something else to consider constantly, be thinking about how to improve the position of your pieces, but on an overall basis, like not only on a move, not only on bishop c1 to come to a3, but also where's this knight best located? Where is this bishop best located? Where is this rook best located? Where is this guy best located? What's the best location for all of these guys? How can I make, in my mind, a position in which every single one of the guys is in his best position? And then, after I have seen the light, after I have seen the utopia and all this crap, how can I get to that point? You know, that's something terribly important. So you have to see what's your ideal scenario, look at it, and say, well, how do I get there, right? But it's a mix. It's not just one piece. It's not just the bishop on e3. It's every single one of the pieces, and that's important. And see what's my utopia as well as the black pieces, and try to stop it from getting there. Like, for example, if you see that my utopia is to create hospitals or some shit, throw a bomb on me and kill me. Like, do something like that. Imagine that is a word or something. Like, if the guy is generating or is creating a hospital so that he can save people who are dying, just kill the guys in the hospital. I mean, it's chess. It's not the real life, right? So you have to do that. You have to see what's the ideal scenario of both guys and try to improve your scenario, get to your scenario, and try to stop me from getting into mine. So that's what it is. I think this was a really instructive game.